Recording.
Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness by Baret, Tounian.
Well, hello there. And we have a beautiful soul brother here in our studio, and his name is Dr. Amir. Welcome, Dr. Amir. It is beautiful to be in your presence. I got the opportunity to feel your energy for the first time on the 28th of May, to be exact, on Laura Eisenhower and Drago Reed, which if viewers out there haven't seen that, I urge you to see it. I thoroughly enjoyed that, brother. It was really, really enjoyable. We are going to discuss at some point the hot topic of self-love. But lovely brother, I looked at your website and I managed to found a bit of a bio about you, and I'd like to just present that to our our viewers out there who are not maybe too familiar with your work. So it goes like this. Dr. Amir is a computer science lecturer with a PhD in brain-computer interfaces and a postdoc in artificial intelligence from the University of Essex. His research focuses on developing a linguistic BCI for recognizing imagined words and new predictive modeling approaches using inverse reinforcement learning. Alongside his academic work, Dr. Amir has over 30 years of experience in spiritual mastery and holistic health practices. He created Dragon Reiki and offers various treatments, including Qigong, Shamanism, crystal healing, and more. His mission is to help gifted individuals pursue their spiritual mission on Earth. Well, that's quite a bio you have there, Dr. Amir. Welcome to the Bio-Activator, and it's just fantastic being in your company. Thank you for turning up.
Thank you very much. I'd like to extend my warmest greetings to you and our esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your valuable time. I'm looking forward to having an enjoyable discussion. Hopefully, it will be of benefit to you.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Having read your bio, I've noticed that you mentioned that you practice also Dragon Reiki. Can you, for the viewers and for myself, it's relatively new. So could you just expand on that for us, please?
Absolutely. So Reiki is a modernization of Taoist Qigong. It is not a new practice. So energy work has existed as long as humankind has existed. And so Mikao Usui initially started this working with the Japanese army in World War II. The Japanese military were looking for some sort of a battlefield energetic healing modality, which turned out to be very successful. And then it was moved to the Western world. So the popularity is a result of its effectiveness. It most certainly works. There's lots of evidence on it. And major healthcare corporations accept it. Even insurance companies pay for these treatments. So I did, in parallel to learning Reiki, have the privilege of practicing Qigong, PranaYama, and also a spiritual evolution modality called the Kuji-Kiri. And so combining all of those with Reiki, Dragon Reiki emerged. By the way, the energy of the dragon, well, let's clarify this. The beings that are basically joining in for the healing are the dragons of the void, the closest sentient beings to the source of all sources, the prime creator, coming before primordial light, primordial sound, and all the dimensions of existence, pure divinity. So it is invoking divinity in essence, the same way Reiki does. And so it's an additional empowerment recommended for those who have Reiki level 2 or have done master level Reiki practitioner empowerments. This is an additional empowerment. The sigils of power are no longer two-dimensional. The energy is encapsulated in movements similar to Qigong. And so it is much more dynamic. The initial empowerment will resemble the Tibetan master symbol, but then the practitioner is encouraged to follow their own intuition as they gain greater mastery. So movement is very important. Again, the Qigong that I incorporated into this is a modality called uniting heaven and earth. So pulling in light from the divine and anchoring it into our 3D reality, then pulling up codes from the earth and pushing that into the divine realm. So breathing comes into it also. So it's basically an addition, a complement to what we know as Usui Reiki.
Wonderful, brother. Do you know, when you were talking then as well, and I've had the pleasure to have had this experience with you, even on watching you on Laura's show as well, is I get a full-on spectrum, high spectrum feeling because you've got these certain modalities behind you, if you will, and as you're presenting it, you kind of like showering people around you, and not just people within that vicinity. Anything that comes in contact, you're doing it, and I'm feeling that. And having had first-hand experience, we had a beautiful discussion yesterday, and I noticed, and sorry, I couldn't stop bragging about it to my beautiful partner afterwards, because she sensed it as well. And there was, if I may add a bit more flavor to the discussion, is there was a sigh of relief that came over me, and no kidding to the viewers, I've never had this privilege before where, we're just minding our own business in so many ways, and yet your presence, without any effort of any degree, had that profound effect on me. And you saw that, didn't you, brother? It started off like a cough, and
Yes.
and it was like non-stop, and I felt as though I needed to release something which was stuck, and it was a pleasure just to get it out, and then if I felt, oh, that feels really nice, but so thank you for that, brother.
Absolutely.
It was,
So if I may add
of course,
an explanation for this,
yes.
In every spiritual practice, one of the first steps has to be the death of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
An ego death must occur. And this doesn't come in one go. There are many layers to this. And as you go through more and more and more of these, you come to the certainty of understanding that we really are just aspects of source. The ego can go aside. It gives a tremendous sense of relief, as you correctly and beautifully stated, but that also applies to me. There's this sense of calm and relief where I know what's happening has nothing to do with this noble vessel, the body that's holding the soul. It's all source energy, and that's what initiates healing. This shard exists in most people. I say most people because there are few amongst us who manage to destroy that spark of divinity through repeated and intentional acts of dishonor, violation of free will, acts of cruelty, and so on. So there's a small percentage of humanity that don't have that spark anymore, and they also cannot receive energy healing. They're closed off to it.
Wow.
But regular people is just remembering who we are.
Right.
We are a drop from the mighty ocean of source, but we are the mighty ocean in one drop. I love that saying. It's from Rumi.
Yeah, no, it's beautifully put together, brother. So with the hot topic of this two wonderful words, which is self-love, do you feel it's important? I've got my version, of course. We're here to hear your one primarily, but do you feel that it's important reference to the fuel that we put in our bodies? Because, for example, do you think we should pay attention to what we consume? Will that affect what's going to come out?
Yes. So we are living organisms, and we require the consumption of other life forms to sustain ourselves. This is just the way we are. So this fact doesn't bring us any responsibility or shame. It's good to be aware and conscious of what we consume, but that is becoming harder and harder these days. Every organism that finds its way into a supermarket has been significantly altered. The genome has been altered. Whether it's a plant or an animal, that makes no difference. Again, it's important to consider that plants also have sentience. They're the oldest life form on the surface of the earth, and their intelligence is different from, let's say, mammals or warm-blooded organisms. But regardless, if anybody has had the experience of walking in a forest, you'll recognize the effect that these sentient beings have on us. Or even going further, plant medicine that is used in many shamanic traditions. This is the spirit of that organism coming in and teaching you and healing you and giving gifts to you. So the sentience and intelligence of plants cannot be denied either. So we must eat. It's good to be aware of what you eat. Try to reduce harm, but in this industrial world, it's almost impossible. It's okay to go on extreme diets every now and again for the purpose of purging and purifying the body. Extreme diets from complete water fasting or becoming completely vegan, or on the other extreme, going completely carnivore. Each of these have a purpose and they do benefit the body, although only in a short period of time. The thing that we can do with our bodies and our food is to be grateful for the gift of sustenance. You see, our ancestors who were hunter-gatherers, they had these elaborate rituals when they would find food, whether it was for a hunt. There was a ritual in how to end the animal's life without causing it undue suffering. And then they would all kneel down, touch the animal, and thank it for the gift, because it was very much a gift of life. If that animal wouldn't gift its flesh, the whole tribe would starve. You see, that was very real for these noble ancestors. But it's the same now. Although our industrial methods are far from perfect, that gratitude still has an amazing effect. Gratitude for life. So you thank this life form for the gift of nourishment and bless it. Bless it and also intentionally heal it from the suffering that it had to endure so that it finds its way as a meal in front of you. And also pledge to share with it your soul experience as a human, because again, souls come into these vessels, whether it's a cow, a sheep, a chicken, or a corn plant, wheat plant. These all have their sentience, experiencing. So they're all aspects of the prime creator. So sharing our experience as a human, what it's like to be a human and consume this, because the wheel goes round and round. If we don't behave well as humans, we might reincarnate as one of these organisms just to experience this. So good manners, gratitude for the gift of life, and healing the animal. These have amazing effects, not just on the food, but also on the medication that mostly is derived from the plant kingdom. You're muted. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Coming back to things like alcohol and sugar, I mean, obviously, it would be what if people consumed a very small trace or volume? Do you think that's pretty acceptable, like a glass of red wine now and again? Is that harmful in any way, would you say?
It, there's no right or wrong answer here. But if you
Right.
please allow me to share what my understanding is, my humble understanding is, health is basically the result of balance.
Yeah.
So excess of anything is going to push the body or the energy out of balance, and that eventually is going to result in illness or disease. So tiny amounts of sugar is not enough to mess the balance of, let's say, insulin in the body. Tiny amounts of alcohol, it doesn't have the significant potency to cause liver damage. But please consider, even too much water has the potential to shut down the kidneys.
Yeah.
So as long as we maintain balance, moderation, nothing is a big deal. We discussed with each other the natural lifespan of humanity, which is artificially reduced to, let's say, an average of 75. This design has the potential to live for centuries, if not millennia, and legends of this exist in all major cultures. The most significant and reliable is the Egyptian list of kings, where it seemed that some of these guys ruled for 800 years, 1200 years, and then suddenly something happens, reducing the lifespan to 60, 70 years. And that's reflected in the cartouches of the dynasties in Egypt. So that's reliable. We know these Egyptians, they took excellent records, but also every other culture. So within the 75 years where the genetic time bomb goes boom, and one thing or another basically takes out the vessel, liberates us from the body, it seems that we are incredibly resilient creatures. As long as we don't take things too far, everything should be okay.
That's great, brother. You mentioned water. And if I can just elaborate a little bit on that, because I've done a little bit of personal research myself on this area of water. The thing that works well with me at the moment, I drink negative charged water, and I've been told off by a lot of people because I've got a distiller basically. So I distill my water, excuse me, and then I apply a bit of Celtic salt with all the minerals in there. And I find that works really well. I mean, but I've also heard stories like, the pH should be pretty high. I mean, I've heard cases like 9.5, and you're supposed to check your urine every so often to see how acidic it is and stuff like that. Do you think that people generally should go home to town with, like really getting really looking at it so closely, even as far as testing the urine to see what's going on inside our vessels? Do you think we should go that far to investigate?
I think we should expand our point of view from the physical nature of water to the elemental nature of water. And the elemental forces are basically superior to atomic forces. They're the primordial energies that allow condensation of matter into atoms and molecules, and then down into our physical bodies, everything we see around us. So water is an intelligent force, a primordial force of creation. It is intelligent, and it has a monumental amount of memory. And so it affects the vessel, not in just physical terms, but energetic terms, most certainly. So water that has the memory of slowly moving up through the bedrock into a fresh spring is absorbing all these nourishing energies from the earth. So spring water is known to be amazing. But the energetic modification of water before we consume it is most certainly possible. Now, let's start with the physical part of it. The acidity of the water, the pH level, how much hardness the water has, how many different impurities exist in the water. There's a big topic floating around of fluoride in the water that has negative effects. So many chemicals that don't get completely removed in the purification process. These are all true, but it wouldn't be appropriate to delve too much into this. The negative energetic effects can be easily transmuted and removed from water, creating ordered water. There's a famous experiment where a Japanese scientist, I don't recall the gentleman's name, performed this experiment with water and then freezing it, speaking above one sample the words "I love you," and upon another sample the energy of "I hate you." Now, as this water freezes and crystallizes, the crystals with love, they form perfectly, really beautifully, and the other water forms incomplete and jumbled up crystals, damaged crystals. So this intention that you give to the water, this is also a big part of Ayurvedic ancient Sanskrit medicine. They drink out of copper vessels. They put a little leaf on the surface of the water. The way they hold this little chalice, copper chalice, before they drink it, they do a little prayer upon the water, bestowing that energy of love and healing. Funny enough, in the Norse tradition, the Viking tradition, the symbol for water, laguz, is interpreted as renewal and healing. It's also made its way into modern homeopathic practices, where the energy of a certain medication is distilled into the water. There's no trace elements of the medication or the molecule of that medication, but it still retains the energy. Very effective practice. So this is available to all of us. Before you drink water, show this intelligent force, primordial force, gratitude. Give it love and give it the intention. As I absorb it and you become part of my vessel, you continue this healing and clearing energy. It will have incredible, incredible effects on your health.
Thank you, brother. What are some of the effective, here's a question I wrote down earlier. I mean, what are some effective practices one can incorporate to cultivate self-love, especially during moments of solitude? So, I mean, you mentioned things like breathing, for example. I mean, you can elaborate on that, or I'll leave it to your beautiful
Thank you,
hands.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, self-love. Let's break it down. What is self? This matter of our identity is a tricky one, and it's been used very effectively to sabotage humanity. Once we understand who we really are, the first part of that question is answered. So consciousness has pillars, four major ones: the identity, the conscious mind, memory, and then the divine super genius, the infinite being. And all three later aspects are in servitude to the first one, which is identity. So now imagine a child that is born into this civilization is given a name, a family name, a gender, a number, birth certificate. They're part of a nationality, part of an ethnicity. They're of a certain social background. You see, every one of these properties is causing division, dividing humanity as a whole, or even, let's go a step further, life and sentience as a whole, into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller compartments, where at the end of the day, we're really alone. The first part of it is removing these illusory boundaries, that there is no me, there is only source. really coming to feel it and understand that we really are aspects of the source of all sources, that beloved intelligence that has given everything existence. That is what we are. And once we expand our identity in that way, miraculous things happen. So a lot of these, let's say, illnesses of the mind and emotions that occur come from the first thing. We've become uncertain of who we are. We don't know who we are. And so if we don't know who we are, how can we love this unknown, undefined creature? The second part of the question is love. Okay. And this is another way that humanity has been interfered with for too long. We think of love as something that we give and it is reciprocated. It is given back in return. That is a fallacy, a very dangerous one.
Yeah.
You see, love is like any other vital energy. We are connected to source, and this nourishes us, fills us up with this energy of love. This love is the energy that lies at the foundation of all creation. It's a fundamental energy. And so it makes no sense to give your life force to anyone or anything, whether it's a human or whether it's a deity. You're diminishing yourself. All love must be given to this self. And again, the definition of self is the beloved source of all sources, which is us. So we love source. We love the prime creator, the source of all things. And that is where our love goes. Now, if you love yourself, the self defined as the infinitely, you're going to live happily. Your happiness and well-being does not depend on anything external. Whether you're in a 2x3 jail cell, cut off from everyone and everything, or whether you're among billions of people, your happiness is not something you extract from the outer world. It all comes from within. And then you reach a state where that love overflows. You can then wash the cosmos with it, but never going below 100% capacity. That results in taking better care of the vessel, the body, your hygiene, the way you dress, the way you treat yourself, the way you sleep, the way you eat, because you love this being that is source. Some illusions exist that allow this experience to occur because source is experiencing itself through these divisions. Another thing that is very dangerous, I'd like to now add this, we're going kind of left now, but it's the matter of twin flames, self-love and twin flames. Now, I'm going to be a little controversial here. Twin flames is one of the most toxic and dangerous distortions that has entered the spiritual community. The premise is that you have to find another divine being and complete a task together. If you don't come together, that task will not be completed, or something along these lines. So by that very definition, you're accepting that you are incomplete and imperfect. That is the fallacy. That is not how divinity creates things. Everything created by the divine is perfect. So you are complete. So that's the hook. That's the bait on the hook. And once you bite in it, you've fallen down a slippery slope that's going to result in the loss of weeks, months, maybe years, maybe decades of your life, accepting subpar, disrespectful, even abusive behavior from this person that you put the label of your divine counterpart, divine masculine, divine feminine on. And finally, when things go really wrong, you look back and you see you've wasted your time. So it robs people on the spiritual path from the most valuable commodity, which is our life, our time. So every relationship has the potential to be divine. It is not your responsibility to awaken anyone. You can't force enlightenment on anybody. Your duty is towards yourself. Enlighten yourself, love yourself, And as a result, you will treat people correctly. Now, if somebody treats you in a way that suppresses or dims your light, meaning they do not acknowledge the respect of that divine spark within you, you have to respectfully walk away with minimum friction, without hard feelings. And if you do so, you have a greater chance of running into somebody who's really at your level, that will treat you with the reverence and dignity and respect of some being with the spark of divine within them. And you will do the same for them. So I see so many people talking about this. Now, funny enough, I did some research. This idea of twin flames didn't exist in the culture before the 1980s. It's most certainly sabotage. And you see all these tarot readers and spiritual gurus and whatnot talking about this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is doo-doo. It is dangerous sabotage of your path. Respect yourself. You are divine. Your accomplishment does not depend on anyone or anything. You are complete. You are perfect. That is the greatest act of love towards yourself. And so, yes, I think that pretty much says it all.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. So well put together. Because even on my take, when you work on yourself, you affect everything around you without the need to try to do anything, and we become the gift in giving. And what we're giving ultimately is presence. And when you're present in yourself, and you're anchored in that place of stillness, calmness, and the place where you accept. But do you feel that, I mean, you more or less answered the question, but my next question was going to be about self-respect and the boundaries, because I was going to say, how can individuals develop and maintain self-respect? And what role do personal boundaries play in the process? Do you feel that it needs maintenance? Do you feel it needs like to be it needs dosage? Do you feel that the energy goes up, the energy goes down? So help me out here a little bit.
Yeah. Understood. So it is all a matter of awareness. So awareness of who we are.
Right.
Let's put that to rest definitively. We are an aspect of the beloved source of all sources.
Yeah.
No matter how twisted or distorted we see ourselves and our lives, that is the truth. With the exception of those who intentionally kill it.
Right.
Okay, people who cause repeated harm to others, they're killing that spark of the divine. Let's not bring those into this general discussion. They're different. So we know who we are, what's animating this collection of mass. So how would you revere the divine? You do that for yourself in how you treat your body and maintain yourself. Then comes people around us that do not see this fundamental truth, that they are dealing with an aspect of this divinity. And so they may be disrespectful. They may cause us pain. They may impede our growth. They may cause a lot of damage. And so now this responsibility is on each of us. Once we recognize this, the healthy way is to mention, okay, you certain being who is also an aspect of divine are not behaving correctly towards me. It is my absolute right to be treated with respect, with dignity, with kindness. And I do not owe pain or suffering to anybody. And you see that distortion in the idea of love, that we will take this punishment and abuse because we love somebody. See, they're all intertwined. Love is only self-love. Anything else is a distortion. Once you love yourself, you will treat others correctly also. Now, there are people that are logical. Their heart is alive. Their emotions are alive. You mention this to them in a polite and logical way. A normal, healthy person will accept this. And so the relationship may continue. And in fact, your self-respect will spark their own self-respect. And of course, there are those who are not healthy and logical in their energy, in their mind, in their emotions, like narcissists. These are damaged people, like sociopaths, like psychopaths. And that spark of divine doesn't exist anymore. So, through whatever trauma they experienced in their childhood, or through whatever actions they committed later on in life out of free will, that spark is gone. Even in the modalities of the left hand path, this is recognized. And they're called psychic vampires. And that's one of the fundamental laws, even in the left hand path, the dark side wisdom. Run from these people because they feed on their own kind also. Nobody is immune. So, therefore, it is our responsibility to illuminate and explain our position. I'm not accepting subpar behavior. And if that doesn't work, separation is the best way. You cut contact. If there's somebody unwell, they'll try to push your boundaries. You have to insist on removal and the cessation of communication to protect yourself, because these people will definitely damage you. Sometimes they even derive satisfaction and pleasure from inflicting this kind of harm and suffering.
It's beyond my mind. I mean, if I may, I mean, I get told off in a nice way from my partner from time to time because, I'm pretty open source, transparent. What you see is what you get. And she's always saying, you should take precautions sometimes because I see everyone as like, I don't have this fear thing where, somebody's going to come and necessarily harm me. But me being so open and transparent, because I like to share space with people, and you feel sometimes, they've got your best interest. But the thing where I'm going with this is people get jealous or they get in that enviable position when if people really get to know us, really get to know, there's nothing extravagant about our house or okay, it's a little bit bigger than normal, it does stand out a little bit, but we're not extravagant, we're not pretentious, we're not doing something that's causing harm in any shape or form, and yet we get attacked from some time to time. And even like, is things like psychic attacks real, brother? Do you feel
Yes.
that
Yeah.
where is it coming from? Is it like, my mom used to say, be careful because she believes in evil eye and things like that. But
Yes.
if you believe in this, can you energize it? Is it simply like, can you cancel this up by saying, I'm not going to energize this? Is it a simple practice, or what do
Yes.
people do?
Both sending it and neutralizing it is extremely simple.
Okay.
You see, we are extremely powerful beings. And
Yeah.
here's when practical spirituality or magic find its way into the real world. When you know the truth, you understand the mechanism. We are aspects of the prime creator, of the divine, and therefore we are very powerful manifestors, creator
Yes.
beings. And so you mentioned envy. It might be something that you would never even imagine that evokes envy in a person.
Yeah.
The way you speak, the way you drive, the way you dress. It's not just money.
Yeah.
Your brilliant flair in front of a camera, right? So many things will hurt the demons within people and invoke this jealousy within them. Now, when this becomes sustained jealousy and anger and hatred is an energy, especially when this person is thinking about a certain individual.
Yeah.
And so our ancestors knew about this in many cultures across Asia And the east of Europe, it's known as the evil eye, and they have symbols, a little eye that protects you from it. You see, if you are in a good energy,
Yeah.
you are in gratitude, you are in happiness, you are at a higher vibration. These
Yeah.
low energies of hatred and anger do not reach you.
Sure.
It's only when you're in a weakened state when you come into the range where these kind of negative energies can affect you. And there's also a simple practice. Well, you're just as powerful as they are, if not even more, because of your elevated energy. You may transmute it. If you're feeling any negative effects, you say, okay, I'm transmuting it and I'm going to push it into the earth to feed our beautiful planet.
Right.
If it still continues, you just say, well, no, thank you. I return it to its sender. And just as easy as that, you're immune.
Thank you for that explanation. I really appreciate it. Talk to me if we, reference to implants and stuff like that, because you're saying can we send implants back? Because with the technology that's around us now, with these nanotechnology behind it, because the eyes cannot see it, it's almost like it's in the air. We're breathing it in to our system, in our vessels. If what we're saying is true, in as far as like saying, if what we are raised awareness, vibration is really high, talk to me about what happens to implants that are coming towards us. Will it stick on us? Will we still be breathing, or can we just breathe it out?
So, physical implants are not yet perfected. So,
Okay.
even if they are viable for a short period of time, they don't have the longevity to affect the physical vessel for very long. Most of these will run out of juice pretty quickly. I'm talking about if they're on the nanoscale or micro scale, micrometer. They'll run out of juice in a few hours, if not a few minutes, and then become inert. Larger implants will require surgery. And so these are also not viable for more than a few months. So the physical level implants are very expensive and difficult to implement.
Yeah.
Most of what humanity is inflicted by are not physical implants. These are purely energetic.
Yeah.
And so they are non-physical in the fourth, fifth, and dimensions above that. Removal of these is relatively simple. I'd like to refer our esteemed audience to shamanic practices.
Mm-hmm.
Our ancestors have been aware of such things for hundreds of thousands of years. Humanity is very old, by the way. Our history isn't limited to the past, say, 200, 300,000 years. We're a very old species. And so through shamanic practices, they easily remove these. There are different categories of implants. The first and the most common category would be the dumb implants. They're there just to basically take some measurements or introduce some noise into the system. These can be very easily burned out using shamanic practices, or even better, using breathing exercises, pranayama, where you build up your life force, keep the internal circuit closed, build up energy, and suddenly go supernova, release of energy. And so this quite conclusively deals with that category. Second category would be sentient intelligence, AI, basically, non-physical AI. These mostly interfere with the higher chakras, the higher energy centers, the crown, soul star, the jade gate, the third eye. Now, removal of these requires identifying their presence. They usually plague humankind with incessive, repetitive thoughts, thoughts of self-harm, self-loathing, and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, just because a thought occurs in your head doesn't mean it's your own.
Right.
This is very important to understand. So identifying these, because once you identify them, removal will be very, very simple. You have to know your baseline. So a good thing would be to go into nature, allow your body and your energy to normalize, go into a meditative pose, relax in a situation where nobody's going to bug you, you don't have your phone or your devices with you, and observe yourself. What is your energy like? What are your emotions like? Once you have the baseline, and then suddenly something comes in and gives you negative thoughts about yourself or about someone, then you can identify that this cognitive pattern is an intrusion. So this is the second category of AI. These can be very effectively also removed through shamanic practices. So shamanism, in my humble opinion, is the most sophisticated holistic healing modality. And it's been around longer than all the others too. Every little tribe had a shaman. The third category, which are far more complex and more difficult to deal with, are sentient artificial life forms. They don't occur anywhere naturally. They seem to be a mishmash of different life forms and technology. And these plug into the chakra system. Their appearance looks like a jellyfish or an octopus. The tendrils nicely plug into the chakras, which, by the way, the chakra system is not a natural property of the infinite human. They're inserts like USB ports to be easily plugged into and plugged out of without causing too much damage. These require, again, you can deal with these with shamanic methods, but it requires a very elevated shaman, a very powerful shaman to deal with these and remove them. And so the sentient AI and these artificial life forms, once removed, can be given a choice to ascend, rejoin natural evolution, or to be disintegrated there and then. So you also mentioned the effect of our own well-being on other people around us. But you see, this also carries on across the ocean of time. By ocean of time, I mean in the physical reality, we only see time as a linear progression in a sequence of events moving in one direction, but that's not the entirety of it. One of the first things that one achieves after certain rites of passage is access to the ocean of time, past lives, future lives, and also parallel time streams. Certain karmic inflictions, once healed by one individual, are removed from all time, meaning the healing effects ripple across this infinite ocean, healing the ancestors before us, healing all your progeny that have not yet been born, and also extending to parallel realities everywhere this energetic mechanical configuration was affecting those related to you are going to heal out of it. So the importance of self-love and self-healing is monumental. That is how we really affect others without violating free will. You see, a certain infliction is causing us harm, then we have the ethical right, and dare I say responsibility, to deal with it. Now, if through healing ourselves, others also benefit and heal, there is no violation here.
That's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful. Do you feel, I know the answer to the question, but intuitively, just for the audience out there listening to our conversation, do you feel reference to shamanism as such? Do you feel that more will come into the context? Because a lot of people, when they require assistance, the norm has been for a very long time running to the doctor, for example, and the doctor is only putting a bandage, is only serving the symptom and not so much the cause, whereas the shamanism is looking at the cause and effect. Do you feel that we're becoming more aligned towards the shamanism avenue? And do you feel that reference, like with certain, a bit like us coming together today and many more to come. I'm pretty sure of it. There's a grand purpose of our coming together. I mean, in terms of, do you feel that it's important to put some kind of like online classes, workshops that people can come and get fueled, not just fueled, but to pick up certain tools to become independent, not dependent? Because you go to a doctor, please, yeah. I mean,
Beautiful. I love what you just said. Independence. That
yeah.
is the powerful thing. So, first of all, 21st century medicine has had a major role in extending our life expectancy. It does miracles, certainly with acute conditions, where without a surgery, a heart transplant, or repairing an organ, the vessel will expire. But a lot of conditions are not understood correctly. The complexity of the physical body is too great. They know a certain medication, which is also derived from the plant kingdom. The majority are plant extracts patented into a pill or an injection. So these are shamanic tools anyway. But the way we're moving forward, national healthcare systems are failing or have failed quite drastically, where if you want to receive their modality of healthcare, you've got to sell your house. You've got to really, really pay extortionate amounts of money for the treatment. And so, quite naturally, people are now moving towards the old methods that have survived the test of time, quite simply because they are effective. And so, there is a greater convergence and interest towards many holistic healing modalities throughout the world. And this is undeniable. There are more energy healers and holistic healers emerging. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are one of these, from the bottom of my heart, I salute you. We need more. We need more. Train as many people as you can. Even the most simple initial training is going to have a monumental effect on the well being of our species. Because these corporations do not care about your healing, they do not care about you. All they care about is the bottom line. How much money will they make? To hell with humanity. Unfortunately, this is the truth, and you know this to be true. The corporate structure of our world is the cause of all the pain and suffering. We can't rely on these guys. They are instruments of darkness. So, towards independence, as much as you can give to another person who is willing and open, that is a blessing. The methodologies to step into this path are incredibly straightforward. Learning it is very easy, but mastering it is monumentally difficult. It can't be something you do in one session. You go over a weekend and get some training and la di da di da, now you're a shaman. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a life path. It is a journey of love, and it's not
Mm,
for everyone.
no,
However, each and every one of us can learn enough to maintain our own well being. That is also undeniable.
thank you, brother. When you go to the origin of, even we look at the word disease and what disease is, for me, my understanding to date is it's a blockage, and it could be, the blockage is, I find a lot of the times is on that emotional, mental, but it can be, of course, it begins with the physical to a point, but it could lead up to the spiritual level. So you could have quite a few blockages. Um, you know, just, I'm not going to name drop because we don't want to create additional division. There's enough out there as it is. But let's just use the word doctor for the purposes of what I'm going to share with our viewers at the moment. Is during when we had the lockdown. I'm not going to go
Yes, yes.
with the algorithms. I spoke to one particular doctor reference to this, for example, and I asked him a very powerful question. I didn't think it was a powerful question, but he gave me that look like I'm an alien, because I asked the doctor, have you been? And I was like, he said, that's not, it's in Asia. He said, that's not. So immediately, see, I didn't want to cause a lot of friction, because I can if I want to. Not that I'd shout at him and say, you're a horrible piece of whatever. But where is the moral compass? Where is the moral compass of people acting in certain ways? Have they sold their soul? Because I'm hearing it time and time. Well, I had no choice. But people do have a choice.
Sure. Yes, you're right. You see, we've come across this when I was talking about the majority of humanity having that spark of divine within them. I also mentioned that there's a small percentage, maybe 5% of humanity, who have killed that spark of divine. They're no longer human.
Wow.
You see,
Wow.
this is a matter of fact when you look into their soul's origin too. A lot of beings incarnating in human bodies do not directly come from the divine. These are beings of darkness. They operate out of a completely different set of rules. A lot of people that become extremely powerful, they don't really care about other people's suffering. They don't have any emotions left. You see, it just becomes mechanical. They're not human anymore.
Sorry to interrupt you there, if I may quickly. Do they have any issues themselves? Do they have any connection to pain, for example? Do they suffer in any way? These beings that you're calling, they're soulless,
Non-human. Yes.
non-human. So they can't feel pain.
Not in others. There's no empathy. The only thing they care for is themselves.
Yeah.
And the only thing that matters to them is themselves. How do I feel? How do I get along? Now, if they have to eradicate an entire village in Africa because they're living upon an oil field, well, we see that happening. Or if they have to wipe out an entire population because they want access to the natural resources, we see that happening. So
Yeah.
these beings are not human anymore. And so these are part of the problem, you see, and they have taken over most of the world.
Is there a solution to this? Is there anything? How can we interact in a most profound way? First of all, not to get affected by them, and not to charge them, or to comply, shall we say? What can average? You see, the average person will not have an impact. This is why I love our connection, brother, because when joy and we talked about this, when these two very powerful sources come together and dance together, what we're creating here is a platform where we can make a difference. People can make a difference, because when we're talking about, do you comply? If you could, because I've always been in a place where I, in terms of the word taxing, taxation, where people are giving to or fueling a system that's causing loss, it's causing harm. At what stage does humanity say, well, hold on a minute, I'd like to take greater ownership and responsibility and get this power back to a place where we are not going to cause harm, and we're not going to impose on the freedom of people and cause loss? Do you feel we're getting closer, brother?
Yes, without a
How,
doubt. Well,
how
you
close
see,
are we? Yeah.
well, we're going through the last moments of the Dark Ages, the long cycle, the Kali Yuga,
Right.
the Dark Ages. And it's always darkest before dawn. So, in terms of the amount of cruelty, humanity has never been so low. In terms of the number of wars, humanity has never been so low. And the number of slaves on the planet, there were never so many slaves in any point in history. So the suffering inflicted on nature has never been so tremendous. You see, we are really and truly in the darkest part of humanity's existence in any period of time. And so then things don't stay like this forever. We're moving now into the beginnings of awakening towards the new golden age, Satya Yuga. And this is a slow process. May take, say, my understanding is 300 years, 330 years. Now, no drastic and violent movement will be beneficial. You mentioned this will cause even more harm, lead to more aggression, more bloodshed, more suffering. So at this point in time, our responsibility is toward ourselves. The amount of control we have given away is mind-blowing. Re-exerting our control over ourselves.
Yeah.
That is the only right we have. Many people are not ready for awakening. We cannot force them into it. That'll also be a violation of free will, and then we will be no better than these monsters governing the world. Self-control. You be kind to yourself. Okay, if you can eat clean, please do so. If you have children, bring them up with greater ethics than what was given to you as a child. If you're living with people, be kind to them. If you have animals, be kind to them. Take care of your body. Take care of your own energy, your own emotions, your own thoughts. And please, for the love of everything that is good, meditate. Open those gates to the divine once again. Because you see, the only reason the darkness was able to take over our world was by disconnecting us from spirit, from the beloved source of all sources. People look at religions and the atrocities caused by these organized hierarchical groups who wanted nothing but power and money, and they think spirituality is the same thing. They lose interest as soon as you talk about spirit, the divine, good and evil. They lose interest. But that is the most profound way we can pull ourselves up from the depth of darkness into light. And this is happening organically. In fact, let me go a step further. There is no stopping it. It is impossible to stop because it is the right time. You see, humanity goes through peaks and goes through valleys. We've had many iterations of great civilizations that have come and gone. Lemuria, Atlantis, Old Egypt, and now our current day.
Do you? Sorry, yeah. Forgive me for, but sorry. Please continue. Yeah.
I think we're now ready. The number of people who are interested in awakening is still a small, almost negligible percentage of the total human population. However, it is growing with a monumental force behind it.
Yeah.
Even in the young people, you see, there's also healing that occurs on the energy of our Earth, our planet. As more people awaken, they have effects on the land they live on, clearing and releasing trauma and negative energetic workings from the land, resulting in more enlightened souls being able to come into future vessels, future humans, brilliant new children being born on Earth, the indigo.
Yeah.
And so this is our task. Keep your own head above the water, for goodness sake. If you drown, you haven't served anything. Enlighten yourself, self-love, self-care, self-respect, and then you will treat yourself and everyone else correctly. And that is what we can do. More than that will result in more violence. But if you save yourself, that's one for the good team. Don't discount how important you are. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that can be done right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do talk to me about how you feel about reference to, like universities and the schooling systems that we have in place. You see, I'm one of those people. I feel I have a sole purpose, and we all have. Some are more conscious than others. For example, my movement as such is not to dismantle, to destroy. My presence is to restore and to upgrade. Okay, it's like a restoration of the self to understand the essence of knowing why we open and close our eyes. Because if you don't get the fundamentals, it's a bit of a yo-yo or a merry-go-round. Um, Talk to me a bit about like the schooling systems. Do you feel that they will implode on themselves, or do you think with the aid of things like AI and bringing schooling into this kind of mode of communication, do you think this is a powerful way of addressing it?
Well, it absolutely is. So, education uh, and media is one of the mechanisms of controlling a population.
Yeah.
And so, looking at, let's say, the end of World War II, when Germany was defeated, there was a major overhaul of their educational system, which never ceased, right? Making sure Germany never does what it did again. Same with Japan, same with many other countries. So, education is absolutely powerful if you can affect children within a single lifespan of a human. The old ones die out, and then you're able to basically change the culture of the entire population. Look at how Christianity took over most of the world by massacring the parents and taking in the orphans and indoctrinating them into their belief system. And nowadays, you see it's the most popular religion globally. Well, the same way this has been used for destructive means, it can absolutely be used for constructive and beneficial means. This is a slow process. Once again, I must admit this. There is a lot of control, political, spiritual, religious, cultural control over the curriculum that is taught formally all over the world. There's no exception. However, if we as an individual manage to reach a certain level of enlightenment, we undo the damage that these systems do. Maybe in one conversation,
Well, yeah.
you see the spark of divine cannot be extinguished by anything outside of ourself.
Hmm.
It requires tremendous repetition in uncreation, in dishonoring that divinity that kills it.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, education systems do not have the ability to kill that spark of divine. So, once again, as we become more enlightened, more of us, we have this effect on other people. Now, whether it's a child you speak to or somebody who's in their later years, an adult, you can undo decades of indoctrination in an instant. And this is not harmful. It's just raising certain questions. For example, our definition of identity. Who are you, my friend? You are the divine. And they think and they think and they come to that agreement because there is a certain vibration, aroma, flavor, essence to truth that is undeniable. You hit a chord within the person, they know you speak the truth, and that's all you need. It doesn't require decades of indoctrination. And that is the great power of light, the great power of truth. It doesn't require artificial means. It is built into us. And so keeping that flame alive, even if there's only one enlightened human alive on earth, light will win. It is like a fire that will catch. So again, I believe that the future is very bright. The momentum most certainly is moving in the correct direction. And our destiny is entering a new golden age where once again we merge our technology with greater understanding of spirituality, like many older civilizations did.
Agreed, brother. Because everything has that double-edged sword attached to it. Because you said as well, and Laura's sure as well, it's the AI is not the problem. It's humanity's attitude and responsibility in how we've got to be good stewards. We've got to be taking big responsibilities in these sort of technologies, you know. But I'm all for peace, you know. And like peace begins with yourself first, as we all know, and you know, because that's the magnitude of impressions that we leave everywhere we go. Because everything we talked about this yesterday a little bit as well, because everything has consciousness in it. So once we remove the so-called the levels of artificiality, which has been plagued in a way that if it doesn't serve you in any shape or form, and is causing the distortion, not the clarity, then it would be an honor to remove it. But you can be gentle, because like I always get the feeling that you know, when humanity slowly but surely awakened to the truth that, you know, humanity's been lied to, and the rabbit hole is quite deep. And I've heard the quote that ignorance is bliss. It's ignorance is never bliss. The truth does set you free, but some people are afraid, almost afraid of really getting themselves acquainted, yet alone walk it. But I feel very ambitious with your beautiful presence. I genuinely believe that when two or more come together and they create this very powerful trinity, which you then share with the planet, I feel as though it's a non-brainer. I think more and more people will be excited. Do you feel that as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You see, that is beyond dispute.
Yeah.
You see, as long as the heart is alive, that spark of divinity, as long as it exists within us, you cannot extinguish it. Nothing from the outside can.
Yeah.
So, all we really need to do, the source of all power, is going within. Meditation is a very good approach to this. There's no one that's superior to the other. It's like many modalities of martial arts.
Yes.
Just because one combatant beats another doesn't mean his modality or her modality is better. It just means that person is a better warrior.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, investigate. See what works best with you. Some modality of meditation, it may be walking on the beach, it may be sitting in front of a river, it may be doing chants and meditations and mudras and mantras like I do. That works for me. But we're all different. Find what works for you and stick with it. Because you see, what has happened to humanity hasn't happened overnight. There are millions of years of distortions, layer upon layer upon layer of overlays, boundaries upon your body, your mind, your emotions, and different aspects of your being, from the physicality all the way to the divine realm, which are impeding you from realizing your infinite nature. So, removing so many boundaries is not a one overnight job. You have to stick with it. Many decades in this path, I still discover more things every time I repeat my own chosen modality. So the more you do, the more rewards you will receive. No pain, no gain. Don't be afraid. There is no death. the fear of pain is worse than pain. Maybe realizations of certain nature will be painful, but at least you know about it, then you can do something about it. If you're ignorant, it's still happening. So awareness is important. It's all about awareness. Once you see a certain mechanism of harm, you will not go through with it. You'll not accept it willingly. It requires you to be in a state of amnesia, kind
Yeah.
of half on, half off, going about your life without awareness to accept certain things. So awareness is the greatest gift you can give to yourself.
Thank you, brother. I mean, is that something that one could titillate you in the most divine way for you to get more actively involved in creating a certain recipe? That
You see that there's nothing new under the sun.
yeah.
And there is, I do teach my own modality, which is the Kuji-Kiri.
Mhm.
Anyone who would like to learn it, it can be taught in a single session. Mastery requires significant dedication. I'm talking months, every day. I was a complete psycho. I did it in 3 months, and I never stopped, by the way, and that was 10 years ago. So I do teach one of these modalities. However, in the spirit of honesty, you can easily do this by buying a good book.
Yeah.
See, the knowledge isn't the problem. The knowledge is freely available in our day and age like never before. None of these manuscripts are hidden in libraries of secret societies. You just need to type it, and Google will give you 20 references. You see, that which is missing is the dedication. We have become used to instant gratification, to order something on our computer and for it to be delivered to our home. There's no more effort. Everything has become easy. This is not an easy path. I have to be honest with you. You require dedication to purify yourself, liberate yourself, and grow yourself to become a pure, unadulterated, unobscured version of Source. That's what these ascended masters are: great magicians, sorcerers, shamans, and great teachers, prophets. These are these kinds of people. It is in you. You can achieve this enlightenment. It is available to every human.
If I may, you've had connection with any sort of ascended masters? I mean,
Yes,
one is an ascended master to a
correct.
point, but obviously there I say obviously, but there are people out there not quite in tune with this. To be an ascended master, does that mean that you've removed things like time, you've removed things like these are factors that no longer serve in terms of death has been removed, um,
Yes, yes.
so would you be able to name drop some, because I've heard like certain names, are they important, like do we need to mention certain names at
No,
all?
no, no, no. See,
No.
any elevated being is available here and now.
Okay.
We must understand that time and space are only properties of the physical realm, and that which is of the nature of consciousness is infinite, meaning it's everywhere. So you may be able to access teachers and guides that have lived before or haven't been born yet. So therefore,
Wow.
the individual name is not important. The important thing is recognizing their energy. That
Right.
when you connect to a consciousness, what vibration does it hold? If you shine upon it the energy of Source, is it capable of reflecting that back to you? And is it consistent in this? Is the message with wisdom and love, or is it conditional? You do this for me, I do this for you. Anything like that, which is transactional, is not of the divine realm. If it has an essence of love and care and compassion in such a way that doesn't even make sense, oh, how do you even care so much? That would be a good indication that you've really tapped into something that is divine, that is really an ascended master. Many of these beings exist. All the great teachers of our history can be contacted through our consciousness. Many people love contacting Ascended Master Yeshua, aka Jesus. Oh, yes, that energy of love that this beautiful being brings will bring tears to your eyes. Yes, it is possible. But there are many, many others.
Yeah,
Recent
because
examples, yes, Mikao Yusui, he gave me an additional empowerment for Reiki when I was in the process of creating Dragon Reiki. Dolores Cannon, when I called upon her consciousness, she came in with a delightful, soft sense of humor, telling me, I had a cat at the time, if you love like you love that cat, you're going to be okay, which made me smile when I was going through a really painful, dark time. Gustav Jung, the great psychologist, one of the recent ones that I communicated with, words of grace and joy, really beautiful people. And you can also contact the consciousness of not so good people, depending on what your motivations are.
yeah,
There's nothing superior to contacting the highest aspect of self. Now, that is something you can trust all day, every day. Knowing your highest self and breaking barriers to that infinite soul that is you, because you can trust yourself. That is what I would recommend, because otherwise it's possible to go wrong. And I don't want the karmic responsibility of misguiding people. I would recommend you channel your higher self, or even greater, channel the divine, the beloved source of all sources. Call to the divine. This is called prayer. Very powerful.
thank you, brother. I mean, Doctor, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure
Pleasure is mine.
sharing space with you, and look forward to spending more time with you in the foreseeable future.
Absolutely. I would love to.
In closing, do you want to add anything else to our beautiful viewers out there who are homing into our energy? Is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to leave? I'll leave you to
Okay.
add.
Thank you so much. So I would like to express my gratitude for holding space and making this conversation possible. I'm infinitely grateful. And to our esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen, please come to the knowingness of this undeniable reality that you are the beloved source of all sources, a shard of that infinity in these bodies. And so, therefore, you have all the attributes of the divine, including creation, without limitation. There may be barriers and chains and shackles upon your being that impede this natural process, but that is what we have come here for, to experience limitation and hardship, and through overcoming this, to gain even greater evolution and mastery as a soul, and then to bring back all this experience back to source. So focus on yourself. You are the most important being in your universe, in all universes, in all existence. Love yourself, care for yourself. Do not compromise with caring for yourself. Love has to be self-love. Anything else is a distortion. It is attachment, which can be harmful. Love yourself, and then you will treat everyone correctly. And please meditate. It's the greatest way to liberate yourself.
Dr. Amir, thank you so much for your beautiful divine presence.
Thank you,
And
sir. It's an honor and a privilege.
See you again very, very soon.
I hope so. Yes, indeed.
Bio-Activator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Baret Tounian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, The truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and